flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let Citi relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the traffic avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the traffic avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you.
City 97.3. Accra. City 97.3. More variety.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadou. Tonight, I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
We just met the Minister of Finance at the Finance Committee, and the Minister indicates that he intends raising additional 11 billion. That's about 1% of GDP. But we have told him that we think that the people of Ghana have been taxed so much.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta delivers Akufo-Addo's final budget to Ghanaians tomorrow. But the stakes are higher than ever as the country goes through an IMF program with predictions that more taxes will be introduced. Also coming up, government agrees a 23% increment in the base pay for public sector workers.
At the end of our negotiations at the tripartite level, we agreed that the minimum wage be reviewed upwards by 22%, i.e. from 14.88 cedis to 18.15 cedis.
More on that in a bit. And later on Eyewitness News, Supreme Court throws out journalist and lawyer Ken Crunchy's suit challenging John Mahama's eligibility to contest election 2024 with an advice, according to multiple reports, to him to find a senior who will teach him the ropes of law. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
inflation drops for a third consecutive time in 2023, recording a rate of 35.2% for the month of October.
That's in 50 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations, including Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi, Beach 105.5 FM in Takoradi, and Sky Power 93.5 FM in Takoradi, all of them in the Western region. In the Bono region, we are on Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani. In the Ashanti region on Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Eastern region on Right 90.1 FM in Somanya. In Volta on Holy 98.5 FM in Aflau. In the Northern region we are on Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi. Upper East we are on Word 88.3 FM in Zuarungo. And Upper West we are on Bugli Radio 88.6 FM in Wa. The show is live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. We are live on citynewsroom.com. And we are interactive. Join us on WhatsApp 0549 986 996 0549 986 996 or go on social media, the other platforms, X as it
announced that the adjustment will be effective from January 1, 2024 to June 2024. He further added that the base pay will be increased from July 2024 to December 2024, bringing the total increase to 25%.
In the course of every year, the tripartite constituents do meet to determine the national daily minimum wage of the ensuing year. at the end of our negotiations at the tripartite level, we agreed that the minimum wage be reviewed upwards by 22%, i.e. from 14.88 cedis to 18.15 cedis. Subsequently, the public sector joint negotiation committee between all unions within the public space under the single spine and government also entered into negotiations to determine the national base pay. I'm happy to report to you that in some few minutes past, after a very difficult meeting, taking the current state of the economy into consideration and also taking into consideration the agreement that as a nation we have with the IMF and in making sure that we stay on course in achieving all the targets that we've set to achieve for ourselves and also to get all the benchmarks right. We have concluded that the national base pay be increased by 23% between 1st January 2024 to 31st June 30th June 2024, and subsequently an additional 2% increment will be added to the 23%, making it 25%. So from July to December 2024. So in terms of absolute figures, so the end of this year, the national base pay will be 14.74 cedis. But from January 1st through to 30th June, it will move from 14.74 to 18.13, and subsequently move to 18.43. So this is the outcome of our negotiations. I want to take this opportunity.
He had Employment and Labour Relations Minister Ignatius Bafwa Iwa, now Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, Dr. Yauba, speaking on behalf of organised labour, expressed optimism that the government would diligently implement the decision.
I've been negotiating single-man salary since 2010. And I should say that this is the most difficult one. When we were entering into this negotiation, I knew it was going to be tough. The reason is the IMF. I'm very happy that finally, with the support the two leaders here got from our communities, we have managed to get what has just been announced. I know that we all expected more. That the circumstances we have found ourselves in, we are satisfied that in spite of all the difficulties and the constraints explained by the Minister of Finance, the Deputy Minister for Finance, the Minister for Employment, the government has managed to give us this for now. We are agreeing to 23% from January to June 2024 and 25% from July to December 2024. We are confident that when the time comes for government to implement, there will not be any hassle. And I would like to assure you, as organized labor, this country is for all of us. And that is why we have agreed with government. And I want to advise, Honorable Minister, that we should continue to work together. Because we still have issues to to resolve around wages for civil servant salary and also our civil servant salary. And I'm hoping that this negotiation will not end those discussions. We should continue to discuss, agree, and resolve the issues before the next round of negotiations. Thank you very much.
That was the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, Dr. Yauba.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM, and that big announcement by the government is coming less than some 12 hours to the delivery of the budget for 2024, which will be done tomorrow in the House of Parliament by the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta. Well, that budget statement would be the last annual budget to be presented by the House of Parliament under the presidency of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, having served for 7 years, going into his final year. The budget for 2025 would be presented all right, but just for temporary purposes to cover the election through to the swearing-in ceremony. Ahead of the presentation of the budget tomorrow, we've been picking the thoughts of members of parliament on what the expectations are. Listen to them.
As a country, all of us, including those of us in the NDC, must begin looking for answers as to how to deal with the continuous depreciation of the cedi. We need to work to expand our exports. We need to work to preserve foreign exchange in this country. Many of you have not looked at the mathematics. I mean, if you took $3 million as a businessman in 2021, that was 18 million Ghana cedis. Today, the same $3 million is 30 million Ghana cedis. What activity or project can give you profitability to be able to amortize this particular loan? So like the state, if you are servicing $29 billion at an exchange rate of 6 cedis to 8 cedis, it's now 12 cedis. What revenue measure can give you enough resources to contain this? This is the country's nemesis. Our economic nemesis is arresting the depreciation of the cedi.
Another aspect of the budget that for me I'm excited about is how we are tackling climate change and how we, as a country, we are faring on that. Like, obviously, sometimes you drive around and you see some cars, the kind of emissions, CO2 that they produce on the streets is quite worrying. And also, if you see some of our industries, we don't have heavy industries in Ghana, but the little that we do have, I mean, some really do produce a lot of CO2s into the...
As the name sounds, we are no more dealing with COVID-19. So why take COVID-19 levies? If anything at all, as a country, we should be able to find another name for the levy, maybe something that will support public health emergencies. But if we continue to charge COVID-19 levy, why? We have escaped COVID-19 as a public health emergency. So I support the call that it should be stopped.
So you had some members of parliament sharing their views and expectations ahead of the presentation of the budget tomorrow. That's from the politicians. Let's hear from the scientists, and I'm referring to economic scientists. Professor John Gachi is at the University of Cape Coast. He has been speaking to us on the economy for some time now. Let's pick his thoughts. Prof, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
You've heard the members of parliament, what the expectations are and the challenges currently that we are witnessing. From your perspective, looking into tomorrow, what should be Ken Ofori-Atta's focus?
I think what should be the focus is clearly ready.
Sorry, say that again. We lost you. The focus should be what?
Clearly defined already. That we should ensure that we maximize revenue mobilization, realign expenditure, and focus on things that will actually generate the growth that the country needs to anchor in all fiscal indicators so that we'll see our way clear moving forward. That is what the focus of the minister will be.
Is that what it should be or it would be?
Well, I think we are generally driven by an IMF program. And the IMF program indicates that we should maximize revenue mobilization. We should ensure fast fiscal consolidation. and we should look at how we can grow the economy, because revenue mobilization without paying attention to growth momentum of the country will not achieve anything. So those are the things that will largely engaging the finance minister attention before Parliament tomorrow. However, how he will be delivering on the tools to use to maximize revenue will be the issue tomorrow, because prior to tomorrow, the business community have indicated that they do not think that the environment is conducive for them because of the multiple taxes, and then because of some of the taxes that they even believe should not be on the list. Then, in addition to that, the way enforcement of compliance is being carried out seems to some of them as though they are being intimidated. So those are the things that we will be expecting to see how we will be able to address those things. Then again, for some time now, if you look at the statistical service, anytime they provide the inflation rate, they attempt to give us disaggregated data that indicates what are the main drivers of inflation, and in particular food inflation. We have seen very clearly over some time now that we need to define our policy to focus on some agricultural produce that we have been importing, and that has been impacting on inflation and impacting on the performance of the currency or demand for foreign currency. And we need to do something very drastic about those things to be able to contribute to currency management, contribute to food sufficiency, and also contribute to fighting inflation from production point of view.
Maximizing revenue, one of the revenue mobilization measures would be taxing. Ghanaians are already facing some serious hardships, and there are predictions that new taxes may be imposed. Is that the way to go? One, is that something you would advise the government to do? And two, if that's the case, how would ordinary man survive?
It is not required to just say that new taxes should not come. You need to wait and see where the new taxes are coming from. Are they coming from a point of view that the incidence of the taxes will be on the already burdened taxpayers? Then in that case, the new taxes will be inimical to production, be inimical to consumption, and will be inimical in the long run from revenue generation point of view. So if we have identified new economic development in the country for which taxes are not applied, for which taxes are now going to be applied, and then it will not be disruptive, then that is a welcome news in terms of revenue mobilization. But if the taxes are just piling up on the existing taxes and more burden on the existing taxpayer, then that is making the environment for businesses more, unattractive.
Just a few. Okay, go ahead.
The thing we should do is that we should focus on revenue mobilization as well as focusing on defining a very clear, attractive environment for businesses that will allow businesses to engage in productive activities to contribute to that we expect. Because I can tell you, if you increase all the taxes by 100%, and that disrupts businesses in terms of engagement and creating more opportunity, those opportunities are not available. The economy will ground down. So you need to put your mind on growth of the economy as well as in revenue generation. That must be that balance. And if that balance is not there, you are only trying to do some short-term exercise, which will not work very well in the medium to long term.
Just some 30 minutes ago, the government announced new goodies for workers in the public sector. The increase in the base pay has been announced. Do you get the sense that government is cushioning the worker before dropping the bombshell tomorrow? Should that be interpreted? Should it be interpreted that way?
No, that's not the interpretation. The Public Financial Management Act requires that all issues relating to labor should be agreed upon and factored into the budget before it is read to Parliament. So even this one, I want to say that they are very late in the day. That should have been done also earlier, should be factored into the budget and read to Parliament. So I think it's just a compliance with the Public Financial Management Act and then proper fiscal engagement. So I don't think that it's something extraordinary that has happened. It's just following the requirement.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Prof.
Thank you very much.
That's Professor John Gachi. He is with the University of Cape Coast. He is a professor of economics. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let me go on the other phone line. Deloitte has done, we're told, some work on the budget ahead of tomorrow and has come out with a report highlighting what the focus should be on. Yaulati is a financial advisory partner at Deloitte, an auditing firm, and he's joining us on the line. Mr. Lati, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. First of all, tell us about this project.
Yes. So thank you very much. So every year before the budget, we do a survey of sending out questionnaires to the business community for them to come up with some of the key concerns and expectations in the budget. So this year we did the same thing, and then a report was submitted, I think, at the launch of the event. The Deputy Minister of Finance, Abna Osayasari, herself was there. And so we collated the results and then we submitted to the Ministry of Finance. And so the expectation is that some of the business expectations that were shared by the business leaders will be incorporated in the upcoming budget tomorrow.
I see. So what did the business community say to you? What are the key things?
So there's about four main concerns that businesses are worried about, things that worry business leaders in Ghana. So the first one is the issue with taxes. So the primary concern that businesses are worried about the fact that year on year we are introducing new taxes in addition to enforcing existing taxes. So that was the primary concern of business, that is it the case that we are going to introduce a new tax, or we are going to have the existing tax laws enforced. Businesses will rather have the existing tax laws enforced rather than the introduction of new taxes. The second issue of concern for businesses, the fact that some of the taxes that have been there have sunset clauses or are supposed to have sunset clauses. A very good example is the COVID levy. Ideally, when the COVID got its peak and then we are now out of COVID, supposedly, these levies should have been scrapped. But they are still there. And COVID levies are an example. There are other taxes and levies that have sunset clauses. But the sun has never set on these taxes. And they are still there, and they've been there for about 10 years, and we are still charging. So that's the second concern of business. The third concern of business, the cost of doing business. And cost of credit is a key driver of the cost of doing business in Ghana. So you've seen continuously the central bank increasing the policy rate. What that means is that the cost of credit is going to increase. And so what we're saying is, or business community is saying, that at what point will the central bank pull the brake on increasing the policy rate and other drivers of the cost of credit in Ghana? So that's the last one is what we've seen the revenue authorities doing, swooping on businesses. It's a key concern for businesses, and I think it's something that businesses are worried about. That look, some of the things that GRA is pursuing them for, they were laws that were introduced not too long ago, and yet they expect business to implement them almost immediately. Some of them, it was very difficult for GRA to implement some of them on their own. but you're expecting business to implement them almost immediately. So these are the key concerns that we gathered from business community.
I see, but is business opposed to revenue generation? Because the issue of taxes and how they are collected is geared towards generating revenue for the state. What are the options that business is proposing, business community members are proposing to the contrary to what government is doing?
So generally, in exercise of tax and enforcement of taxes, you have about three main approaches. So it's enforcing or compliance, ensuring compliance with existing tax laws. The second one is amendment of existing tax laws. So where you have a VAT, so VAT is still there, but you increase it from 12.5 to 15%. That's amending an existing tax law. And then the third one is the introduction of a tax that has never existed before. EN levy is a very good example. We didn't have any tax like that in the system. So historically, you see year on year, the third option seems to be preferred by most governments, successive governments, where we are introducing taxes year on year. It creates uncertainty. So businesses are not opposed to payment of taxes. What they are saying is, can you rather enforce existing taxes, bring a lot of people into the tax net, something that we've been seeing year on year, but you never seem to enforce it. So there are so many businesses that are doing good business, making significant profit, but that are not paying taxes. They're outside the tax net. So do you rather want to implement policy that will bring a lot into the tax net than keep taxing the faithful few? So that's something that business are concerned about. So they are not opposed to taxes. They are not opposed at all to payment of taxes. Their concern is the introduction of new taxes year on year. That creates a lot of uncertainty for them.
I see. Now, these findings you've given to the government, you say, do you know whether it will be incorporated in tomorrow's budget presentation, or this is just an advice which may not be taken?
So I think over there, I think we got some form of assurance from the Deputy Minister of Finance, Honorable Abna Osei-Asare, that a lot of the concerns raised by business had already been submitted by other groups. And so they believe that some of them will be incorporated. So we also believe that to a large extent, I think the key concern is not necessarily about businesses trying to avoid taxes. It's just about making sure that we are creating the right environment for business to thrive. Because our scoring on the ease of doing business around the world, it's actually not too good. And it's not, we are not performing and doing well. So it's not the case that business in Ghana, it's even it also affects our rating globally. So I think governments will have to take it serious and incorporate it in the upcoming budget tomorrow.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
Yes, you're welcome, Omar.
That's Yao Lati. He's a financial advisory partner at Deloitte, an auditing firm that has done some polling, if you like, into the budget of 2024, asking the business community what expectations there are. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let me bring some of the comments you've been sending through. This one from John Natete in Kofurida says, considering the current economic situation the good people of Ghana are going through, I strongly think this 23% base pay increment is not sufficient. The government should come again. All right. Father SK from Kenya in Kumasi says 23% increase in the public workers' base pay is still woefully inadequate, so the government should come again. This one also from Prof. Intama. It says labor unions should stop this deceitful base pay negotiation. It gives government the opportunity to astronomically increase taxes and other fees or charges. Eventually, labor suffers. This 23% will lead to over 50% increase in taxes with new tax handles. Yusuf from Town Council Line says Supreme Court knew the missiles that they will receive in the hands of the NDC should they entertain Ken Crunchy's suit, hence their decision to throw it out. Aka Paul Jr. from Ahafomim says, how can you increase a base pay by 23% when inflation is over 30%? What would this increase do to the ordinary worker? Okroye Boa from Breman Benin said, we all want the government to remove some taxes from the head of Ghanaians, but we are seeing people calling for development in our locality. This is Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you. I can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Charlie, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
You can't touch it.
Using a condom will protect you and your partner from HIV, STIs, and unplanned pregnancy. Condoms are an effective way for protection against HIV infection. Don't take risks. Use a condom every time. Always come prepared.
This advert is brought to you by the Ghana AIDS Commission and Ghana Health Service.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. Now, aspirants vying for the New Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidacy in orphan constituencies in the Greater Accra region today went through vetting at the party's new regional office in Teshi ahead of the upcoming primaries on December 2. Regional Chairman David Agohom, while commending the enthusiastic participation of party supporters during the vetting process, said the exercise should foster unity among party members in the lead-up to the 2024 general elections.
Every aspirant that we have, interviewed so far appeared unless the national office has taken a position that unless we have compelling reasons, we should allow everybody to contest. Because one key, thing that we need going into 2024 is that we must have a united party. And that's why I'm saying that myself as the leader of the party in this region, I'm very, very happy. Even last elections, when we were quite sure of getting through the elections, the enthusiasm was not as we are seeing it now. So that gives me hope. And if you look at this region, usually the trend has been NDC wins, MPP wins. If that trend is to continue, then definitely 2024 is going to be ours. In any case, we are not even looking at what the trend is. We are clear why we lost 7 seats in this region. We have, a clear understanding of what happened and what we must do to reverse that trend. So for us, we know that by the grace of God, we are winning.
Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NPP, Divine Agohom, General Secretary of the NPP, Justin Kodia-Frimpong, in an interview with Citi News, assured that all aspirants will be allowed to go through the process successfully.
The exercise has been very peaceful, very smooth, and that is what we are expecting as a party. We understand the tenets of democracy, we understand the rule of law, we understand competition. And at the end of the day, it is our wish that all those who have appeared before the disciplinary committee will go through by satisfying their requirements in the national constitution and also in the New Patriotic Party's constitution.
Has there been any concerns raised by any of the aspirants from any of the caucuses yet?
Not that I know. There are two teams. For my team, we have not had any such experience, but I don't know for the other team. So at the end of the day, when we are done, we will sit down to look at what transpired today.
Justin Kodia-Frimpong is General Secretary of the governing New Patriotic Party.
So the party has started a vetting. At least the Greater Accra Region 1 is happening in earnest. Let's go to Fred Duho. He's a man who's covering the vetting of the NPP parliamentary elections. Fred, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Where is the party organizing this vetting, and what has been the situation so far the whole day?
The party is holding this vetting in the Teshi enclave, where we understand there is a new office built for the Greater Accra region, and that is basically where the whole action is taking place. And 17 constituencies are expected, or aspirants from 17 constituencies are expected in this particular center for their vetting session to take place. We understand about 7 to 10 of them have gone through today, and they are expecting the rest to come tomorrow to take their turn to go through the process. Now, one thing is very clear, that they made their mind or the decision that they won't disqualify any aspirant. But that notwithstanding, any aspirant that comes there with a reason why the person should not stand on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party, the person will be disqualified. It doesn't mean that when they intend to give it a wholesale vetting success, anyone with questionable character or anything that would hinder their progress going into the 2024 elections, that person will be allowed to go through. So generally, from morning till this evening, it's been peaceful. All the
Fred
is happening solely for the orphan constituencies where the NPP do not have any member of parliament or sitting member of parliament in Ghana's parliament currently. So those orphan constituencies, they are taking turns to go through this process, and hopefully December 2, they would do their primaries and elect their parliamentary candidates who lead the party going into the 2024 general elections.
I see. So how many constituencies? You said 7. Do you know some of the constituencies that came, and what happened with Ododo? We saw earlier reports you were sending through.
Yes, the Ablekuma South and Central came through. The other constituencies also came through, like the Shai Usuloku also came. Ododo came this evening, where we had 2 people are vying for a particular slot, in the person of Manaf Soa and Banaman, Nilate Banaman, and he's contested this seat a number of times. So the whole incident happened where the supporters, unrelated though to the vetting, they were standing outside, more like tickling their own fancy. They basically were having chats before we could say that they were, having this confusion among themselves and yelling at each other, and at a point, trying to throw blows at each other. So largely, the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kudia, came to intervene and then calm them to stop what they were doing. And their aspirants actually were allowed into the vetting, which lasted less than 5 minutes. They picked their slots on the ballot in terms of position, how they are going to appear on the ballot, and then they were asked to leave. So it was the supporters who, as to what really ignited the whole confusion, that were just outside throwing blows at each other, and the General Secretary came in to ask them to stop.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Fred Duho. He's our correspondent in the Citi Newsroom, who's covering the New Patriotic Party's vetting that is currently happening at the regional offices. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, let's talk about a case that was brought before the Supreme Court, which case bordered on the eligibility of former President John Mahama, whether or not he can contest election 2024. Ken Crunchy is a journalist, recently became a lawyer. He went to test the law at the Supreme Court, and he said that a former president like John Mahama is not qualified to run again for office, and he thought that the Supreme Court ought to make some pronouncement on it. We're hearing that the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement on it and thrown him out, and they did not only throw him out, but also advised him to go get some tutelage from a senior lawyer so that he does not appear in court with a similar suit. What exactly happened to him? Ken Crunchy is joining us on the line. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Maru. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I interviewed you when you prepared the writ to serve on these persons and also went to the Supreme Court. You were very positive where you said that the former president was a ward of parliament, and you made that argument and said you were going to go before the Supreme Court and argue that out. Tonight I'm hearing that you have been thrown out. Let me tap into your journalistic cap first. What happened in court?
Well, thank you very much. During your introduction, I think I heard you make the comment that the case has been gone into, or a comment to similar effect. The case itself, the writ itself that I filed before the Supreme Court, the merits of the case is there to be looked at by their lordships. When you go to court, two things happen. You go with your case, the law on your case, and you go with the procedural law on your case. So that let's use an analogy of a room. I'm coming into Citi FM to speak. There's the route that I used to get into Citi FM, and then there's the law that also comes into the effect when I get into Citi FM. What happened in court today was the route into the court, or the way and manner you file the writ, or the processes that attach to the writ. The lawyer for Mr. John Dramani Mahama and the lawyer for Mr. Bambagwin, the Speaker of Parliament, raised certain technical objections as to the validity of the writ that have been filed, not the quality of the writ, but as to whether a writ has been filed and whether the processes were properly filed. So that is why we dealt with in court today.
Okay,
that is what the court says was not up to standard and therefore struck the writ out. So the merits of the matter still stand.
But it doesn't stand anywhere now. It's been thrown out with the papers that you brought.
It's not in court, but it can be refiled easily.
Okay, but you know that as a lawyer, procedure is very important. And if you went to court and your procedure was poorly executed and that has been thrown out, you can't even say that the merit is still standing. It goes with it. Everything collapsed completely.
No, that is not the case. The procedure, as you said, is extremely important. In my view, what I felt, and in similar circumstances, people have said that what I felt really would have been forgiven by the Supreme Court. But there were two circumstances that we need to take note of. Mr. Tadeo-Sori raised an issue as to the timing of the filing of the statement of case. I was late by 6 days. Apparently, the Supreme Court in the case affecting Mr. Tadeo-Sori had been late with a similar rate by 1 day, and the Supreme Court had thrown him out. It was going to be very difficult to somehow rationalize why he did not forgive a 1 day limitation and then are ready to forgive a 6 day limitation. So that one, I think that particular point had a lot of effects with the bench that sat on the case today. The second issue is that the statement of case itself, I had filed it as an attachment to an affidavit. Their lordships are saying that it should have been filed as a standalone document. So even though the statement of case was filed, it was filed attached to an affidavit. So the merits of the statement of case has not been looked at. But the fact that it was filed as part of an affidavit technically was wrong, and therefore they decided the case should be thrown out.
And the panel also gave you an advice, we are told. What did they say to you?
Mr. Justice Kulindi, he started by reminding me of our long-standing friendship, and that is the fact we have had a very good friendship over the years. We used to communicate in terms of family. He used to send me Christmas messages. I send his family Christmas messages. So we have had this long-standing association. So he reminded me of that, and then he said that in some of these things, I need to have a senior to advise me on how best to file some of these things. I think it was an advice that is well meant. The law is a profession where you learn. You are constantly a learner. And since I came out of court today, other lawyers have called me seeking to know about the president that was started. It had to do with Mama Yaga and the Attorney General and the citation for it. They asked me about what went wrong in court today. So they consider that they are also seeking to learn from today's experience on how best to make their cases in future. So,
but as a fresh lawyer, this will be an embarrassing start before the Supreme Court for you, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't be. Today's experience, you can't buy with money, Umaru. You You cannot buy the experience I went to today with money.
This is your second appearance before the Supreme Court. The first time was to be convicted and jailed, and today you are embarrassed. That's what I'm asking. The first time you went not as a lawyer.
You can see that there has been an improvement, because the last time I would have been
so today
I would have been jailed, not so. So there has been an improvement. You see, this is the highest court of the land. There is no court past the court that I went before today. So if you are able to stand before that court and advocate your case and make your case, it's really an achievement.
Very well.
For me, what I need to look at is the positives of the experience today. And I still believe that the government of the case that I intend to prosecute, the government still stands. Okay. I still believe that the case should be prosecuted.
Thank you so much. Ken Crunchy, editor of the Daily Searchlight newspaper, also a journalist who went to court, but the Supreme Court threw him out today. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Howard, what else do you have for us?
The Finance Ministry has identified a local alternative source of funding amounting to 50 million euros for the reconstruction of the La General Hospital. This was disclosed by the Minister of Health, Kweku Agyemang-Manu. The hospital was demolished in 2020 following report of structural defects, but work is yet to commence on the project. Briefing Parliament on the situation, the Minister of Health, Kweku Agyemang-Manu, assured of government commitment towards the completion of the La General Hospital.
The President of the Republic, in particular, has taken a keen interest in the particular project, following which the underlisted steps have been taken. Mr. Speaker, at the 37th session of Cabinet, the President directed the Ministers of Trade and Industry, Health and Finance to find alternative sources of funding to recommence the project. Through the efforts of the three-man committee, the Minister for Finance has now identified funds locally to continue the project with the same civil works scope but a reduced price of 50 million euros. The contractors have resubmitted the advance compensation guarantee to the Ministry of Health, which has been processed to the Ministry of Finance for payment. The project consultants and the Ministry's technical team have met with the contractors to draw up a roadmap for the continuation of the project once the funds are received. The contractor indicates that once the funds hit the accounts, they will remobilize the sites within 1 week.
That was the Minister for Health, Kweku Agyemang-Manu, but the minority in Parliament criticized the Minister for failing to provide clear timelines on when work will resume on the project.
Almost a year. So as we speak, I thought that the Minister was coming to tell us that they have money, they pay mobilization, contractors are going to site. We were prepared to hear this positive news, only to come and tell us. Clearly, government is even uncertain about when the project is even going to start. And I don't know whether to believe the minister at this moment because of what he has told the people of this country in the past. Next year, on the 11th of March 2022, the minority members on the health committee visited the site. And when the minister was reacting to our visit, he said that they had signed a redevelopment plan with the contractor as far back in 2022, somewhere in March. And now he's here telling us that they're even now looking for sources of funding. We don't even know when they will get that source of funding.
Kobna Minta Kando is ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament. The National Concerned Small-Scale Miners Association is calling for an urgent investigation into the killing of two brothers at Infante in the Hafo-Ano Southeast District of the Ashanti region by some forestry guards last week. The two were allegedly killed by the Forestry Commission task force at a mining site they were protecting. The killing of the two brothers has left the entire community in shock, with the angry youth demanding justice for the deceased. Speaking to Citi News on the development, President of the National Concerned Small-Scale Miners Association, Michael Kojo-Pepra, called on the government to take immediate steps to resolve the matter and find justice for the family.
What happened over there is murder.
barbaric, and it's something we should all speak against, because the enclave or the place that this incident took place is a designated place for community mining. The community mining scheme was launched on the 5th of August 2021, and it has employed over 3,000 indigenes in that area. So we were surprised when we heard that the minister, we were surprised when we heard that the Forestry Commission, being led by the regional manager, had gone there to shoot to kill two of our members. It's a sad moment, and government needs to come out clear to explain the reason why they went there to kill these people. Even if admitted, whatever transpired there was illegal, does that warrant the shooting? No. Issues with regards to Akunta mining, when it came out that, they were mining without license, when the minister brought out a communication that Akunta mining had no legal right to even mine in the town on the Miri Forest, did the Forestry Commission go there to shoot people? No. This is total murder. And at the end of the day, we are calling on the government to prove the killing so that whoever committed this heinous crime will be brought to book.
That was the president of the National Concerned Small Scale Miners Association, Michael Kojo Pepra. Management of the Boti waterfalls in the Yulokrobo municipality of the Eastern Region say the deplorable nature of roads leading to the tourist site is driving tourists away. Transport operators in Accra and other major cities always decline transporting tourists who want to visit the waterfalls due to the deplorable nature of the roads. The managing director of the Boti waterfalls, Richard Kilson, who expressed worry about the negligence by successive government to get the roads fixed, says the facility may not be able to achieve its financial targets for the year.
It's gotten from bad to worse. Currently, you have the VIP buses. When you even go there and you mention Boti Falls, they don't want to hear. And they will mention an outrageous even price just to scare away tourists from even attempting to want to come over here. Our road is so bad. We've been talking about it, and it's been over 7 years. And it's getting from bad to worse. All the little efforts that we had done to repair it is gone bad again. Eastern Region tourism is basically Boti Falls. And for us, as investors, it has a big toll on us. How do you invest in something that already access to it has become very, very difficult for tourists? A journey from Koforidua to Boti, which used to be 20 minutes, is now over 1.5 hours just because of the road.
That was the managing director of the Boti waterfalls in the Eastern Region, Richard Kilson.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Hey, Ma, the way you're always getting alerts these days, I won't be surprised to hear that you have gotten a Momo for Business account by my next visit.
Oh, I'm already on Momo for Business.
Since when?
Since. Now, it's easy to apply for a merchant SIM. All you need is a registered MTN number, your business certificate, your Ghana card, and you are good to go.
Sir,
you think you are the only one who knows what's up, eh? Look, I just dialed *5051#, selected register, and the region I was requesting the SIM from, and waited for my SMS with my reference number. You can even go online at momomerchantapplication.mtn.com.gh and complete the details for an even better experience.
Hey, Grandma Momo.
Sign up for Momo for Business the easy and simple way. Just visit momomerchantapplication.mtn.com.gh or dial *5051# and follow the prompts and be on your way to owning a Momo business account today for free.
MTN.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan, make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Details of our stories now. Inflation has dropped for the third time in a row, recording a rate of 35.2% for October 2023. This represents a 2.9 percentage point decrease from the 38.1% recorded in September. This was captured in the Consumer Price Index data released by the Ghana Statistical Service this morning. This announcement comes at a crucial time as the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta heads to Parliament tomorrow to present the 2024 budget statement and economic policy of the government. Per the new inflation figures, food inflation stood at 44.8%, while that of non-food inflation reached 27.7%. Here is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Enim highlighting the rate.
For the month of October 2023, Consumer Price Index stood at 195.2 relative to 144.4 that was recorded for the same time, October 2022. Given these two indices, rate of inflation for the month of October 2023 stood at 35.2, which literally means that between October 2022 and October 2023, prices of goods and services went up by 35.2%. This rate of inflation, which signifies the third consecutive slowdown in the rate of inflation, is 2.9 percentage points lower than the rate that was recorded for September 2023, which had a rate of inflation of 38.1%. We disaggregate this rate of inflation from two perspectives: food and non-food inflation, and locally produced items and imported items. Between food and non-food inflation, food inflation was 44.8% for the month of October 2023, relative to 27.7% for non-food inflation for the same time, October 2023. The slowdown in food inflation is sharper as it decreased by 4.6% percentage point between September 2023 and October 2023, relative to the 1.6 percentage point drop for non-food inflation as it declined from 29.3% to 27.7% for the month of October 2023.
You heard government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna Enim announcing the rates of inflation for October 2023. Now, government has hinted that the soon-to-be presented 2024 budget will be heavy on their policies to anchor a new growth strategy to cushion Ghanaians against the current cost of living crisis in the country. Next year's budget remains crucial as government continues with its IMF-backed post-COVID-19 program for economic recovery. Barring any last-minute hitches, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will deliver the economic policy and budget statement tomorrow in Parliament. Government, through the Ministry of Finance, assures that the rafts of measures to be adopted will focus on fiscal measures, debt management, and deepen stability for socio-economic growth. Meanwhile, government spokesperson Kojo Nkrumah has been providing some more insight.
The growth plan has been approved by Cabinet, and it will find expression in the economic policy document, which will be laid before Parliament. So the idea is to deepen stability, get the economy growing, to create some more jobs, try and bring down the cost of living, and while at that specifically inflation as well. You will see that find expression fully in the economic policy we laid before Parliament. Then you come to the fiscals or the budget itself that underpins this economic policy. You will recall that the fiscal framework has already been signed off as part of the ECF facility that we signed with the IMF. And so there's a fiscal path that we are on, which is aimed at narrowing or reducing our deficit position. I think in the year before we were at negative 3.5 or negative 4.5. In this current year, we've been trying to do a negative 0.5, and I think in the next year it's supposed to be a positive 0.5. So that fiscal path has already been approved, and we will be continuing on that fiscal path, even in the fiscal framework that underpins this year's economic policy. And I guess that's what most Ghanaians should be looking forward to in the budget part of the two-part document that will be presented before Parliament.
Kojo Nkrumah is Minister for Information. Well, technical economic advisor to the Vice President, Dr. Samuel Kojo Frimpong, has announced some potential initiatives aimed at bolstering the banking sector in anticipation of the forthcoming 2024 budget reading. Responding to questions about the recent cleanup exercise in the banking sector and subsequent struggles faced by some public banks at a pre-budget dialogue organized by the University for Professional Studies Accra. Dr. Frimpong said the government remains committed to addressing these challenges.
We are expecting that the finance minister will mention some of the measures that the government is going to put in place.
Dr. Samuel Kojo Frimpong is technical economic advisor to the Vice President. Now, the Association of Ghana Industry stands ready to welcome programs and policies of government in the 2024 budget statement aimed at spurring growth in the private sector. The groups lament that taxation and over-importation have in recent times crippled the private sector, with critical areas contracting despite having touted as the engine of growth. Greater Accra chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, Chonam Akpelo, indicated some taxes ought to be reviewed. He was speaking on Citi TV's point of view.
The Finance Minister granted an interview very recently where he talked about the expectations of the budget. He mentioned that he would focus on improving private sector and incentivizing production of goods locally. And we thought that that's a great way to start with. And we really look forward to hearing from him the great plans he's put in place for the private sector to flourish, especially from next year. Essentially, you recall that this year has been particularly difficult for private sector because of the many taxes that have been introduced. You recall the growth and sustainability levy, an increment in taxes for beverage companies, etc. Our view is that we would like to see some of these taxes, entirely removed or at best reduced, because the taxes are affecting industry in an extremely big way. It impacts on the cost of production so much so that we become uncompetitive.
Chonam Akpelo is the Greater Accra chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries. Now, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana (COPEC) has tasked the government to make provisions in the 2024 budget aimed at reducing the cost of fuel in the country. Executive Secretary for the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, has been telling Citi Business News it is crucial for the government to do all it can to reduce fuel prices at the pumps.
Current inflationary pressures above 40, exchange rate beginning to inch up, where you have cost of living parameters still very high. One would expect a deliberate government policy to control cost of energy, particularly for fuel. If government is not deliberate about their efforts at stabilizing and possibly reducing the cost of fuel, what will happen towards the unitide when demand increases is that once demand goes, prices also are likely to head south. And if you want to contain and control inflation, control your forex and all of that, then the 2024 budget statement would need to be bold and deliberate about containing, maintaining, and possibly reducing energy costs for Ghanaians. Anything other than this, if there's a talk of new taxes, you would simply worsen the current economic outlook. If there's talk of just sustaining tax levels at where they are, you are simply going to have a 2024 that will look probably worse than 2023 being.
Duncan Amwa is the Executive Secretary of COPEC. The European Union has announced plans to implement a private sector development program to tackle youth unemployment in Ghana following a €50 million funding agreement with the Ministry of Finance. Data from the Ghana Statistical Service indicates that over 7% of the country's youth population are unemployed. Speaking at the 2023 Youth Employment and Entrepreneurship Global Forum to discuss the prospects of the green sector in Ghana, Program Manager in charge of employment and education for the European Union delegation to Ghana, Martha Brioni, emphasized the need to connect the country's unemployment agenda to the Sustainable Development Goals.
The European Union is investing substantially in promoting skills development for decent job and to support private sector development. Just to give you some figures, we launched this year an almost €20 million program that is called the Uganda Pact for Skills. And with this program, we are investing to support relevance of training provided in secondary and tertiary institutions to be sure that our youth has the skills needed for the job market. It's only this program is almost €20 million euro, the EU-Ghana Pact for Skills. In terms of employment, in terms of promotion to the entrepreneurship and the support to the private sector, we are ready to launch. This will happen early next year. The private sector development support program, and it's a program of about 15 million euro. We recently signed a financing agreement with the Ministry of Finance, so we are ready to start the implementation next year.
Martha Brioni is the program manager in charge of employment and education for the European Union delegation to Ghana. And that's it for City Business News on Eyewitness News. The Business News on Eyewitness News was brought to you by GCB Bank PLC. GCB Personal Loan. Make that big move and dream a reality. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
Hello, Linda. You won't believe what I am planning next. I want to start my postgraduate degree, buy a car, and build my dream home. But you know what's stopping me?
What's that, Mike?
Money, that be my biggest wahala.
Oh, you are sorted, cry. With a GCB Big Move personal loan promo, you can borrow up to a whopping 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours.
Like seriously? How do I qualify?
Yes, it's available to all GCB salary account holders. Plus, you get a 2-month grace period before you start to pay back.
Susket, I'm opening an account with GCB now.
Get a personal loan of up to 400,000 Ghana cedis at a significantly reduced interest rate in less than 24 hours. Call 0800-422-422 or visit your nearest GCB branch today to fund your next big move as we celebrate 70 years of greatness. T's and C's apply. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
Calling all our daddies, students, and well-wishers. Join us for an unforgettable day as Presec marks its 85th anniversary with a grand speech and prize-giving day hosted by the Odadia 98-year group under the theme Building Upon a Legacy of Excellence, Developing Holistic Values-Driven Change Agents. Chaired by Mr. James Boateng, 2018 National Best Farmer and Odadia 78. The event starts at 10 a.m. on the 25th of November 2023 at the newly built ceremonial grounds. Speakers for the day will include Dr. Delali Fiagbe, Head of Psychiatry at UGMS, and Mr. Kwabena Asantipoku, Country Director of British International Investment, both proud of Odadia 98. Our guest of honor is Dr. Yao Osayedutro, Minister of Education, with Dr. Ofori Sapo and Right Reverend Professor Joseph Obri Yabuamante gracing the event as special guests. Mark your calendars, 25th November at the Presec Ceremonial Grounds. Oh, come along and join us as we celebrate 85 years of excellence. Brought to you by the Odadia 98, Illuminator with the Bemos Lumen.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Bobo, so how your engine now? It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Charlie, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panzapa. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with 8 age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry, Chairman Mane. Chairman. Hey, Chairman! Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Sandama. Tonight on Premland, we are going to the House of Parliament. The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, appeared before the parliamentarians today to answer a gamut of questions, including the issue with SAL, the Central Kofi Akpafo Lolobi area, where they do not have a member of parliament, and the legal challenges around the same. So he took questions from MPs and answered. Let's listen to him.
The Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Attorney General. I rise to ask the Attorney General and the Minister for Justice the status of the prosecution of Men's Good Company, led by Nana Apia Mensah, aka Namwan.
Speaker, indeed there is especially no prosecution of Men's Good Company. There is rather the prosecution of the Chief Executive Officer of Men's Good Company Limited. Indeed, the accused person is Nana Apia Mensah. He was on 30th August 2023 charged with 39 counts of the offenses of defrauding by false pretense, fraudulent breach of trust, operating a deposit-taking business without licenses, selling gold, inducement to invest in money laundering at the High Court, Accra Financial Division 1. The matter has since been called in court, and the plea of the accused person has been taken. He pleaded not guilty. Mr. Speaker, the prosecution has, in accordance with new rules of court for case management, been ordered to make all disclosures and file witness statements. The matter has been adjourned to 17 November 2023 to ensure that the prosecution has complied with the orders of the court and for a date for case management conference to be fixed.
There's some recent information in the news about Namwan depositing a certain amount of money somewhere. The information now is that is with the police. I just want to know if that's maybe you give some instruction or it is part of the process of trying to get our money for us.
Information came to my attention that the said sum of money mentioned by the honorable member has been paid to the Ghana Police Service. The Speaker, there is no formal plea bargaining process that has been entered into between the state and the accused person. The Speaker, we are therefore at a loss as to the import of the payment. We have since ordered for the amount to be deposited in the account at the Bank of Ghana, and then if the accused person formally comes up with a plea bargaining process, the right thing will be done. It's not a hoax. The payment has been made to the Ghana Police Service. It was not made within the premises of any formal plea bargaining agreement between the state and the accused person. The accused person did not indicate that he was coming under a plea bargaining enactment that we have in the country. For that matter, we have deposited the money at the Bank of Ghana, and for the court to give further directions if indeed the court is notified by the accused person as to why the payment was made. The money is being kept at the Bank of Ghana.
Some of us heard in the news that Namwan gave 5 million Ghana cedis to the police service to pay part of the debts. The police came by telling everybody that it was 2.5 million, of which they deposited with Bank of Ghana. If AG has information about this, if you can throw more light so that we'll know the real position, either it was 5 million or 2.5, so that some of us customers will know how to deal with the matter.
Yes, the Speaker, the record I have before me indicates that an amount of 2.5 million Ghana cedis was paid. The Speaker, the claim of 5 million Ghana cedis as having been paid to the Ghana Police Service, with all respect, is untrue. It was only 2.5 million Ghana cedis that was paid by the accused person to the Ghana Police Service.
So, Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice government's legal position on the plight of the people of Central Kofi, Akpafo, Likpe, and Lolobi, as they do not have representation in the current 8th Parliament. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
As we can have a smile on my face because, indeed, this is the second time I'm answering this question. As Speaker, in March 2022, I answered a similar question on the same issue that was asked by Mr. Kofi E.D. Adams, the MP for Buem, on the same issue. But for the record, I'll provide the answer again. The Speaker, the first point I make respectfully in response to the issue is that the SAR matter is not a creation of government. Indeed, that issue, with all respect, is a result of a series of constitutional anomalies which the Electoral Commission sought to cure following the placement of the 4 areas within the Buem constituency in the Jasikan district in the Oti region. It would therefore, with all respect, be misplaced for one to describe the solution to the problem as residing in the bosom of the government of Ghana. It is really as a result of the decision of this Honorable House to also allow the Local Government Buem District Assembly Establishment Instrument 2020, LI 2416, which created the Buem District, to pass on Monday, 9 November 2020, less than a month before the December 2020 elections. The Speaker will shortly proceed to explain why I say the problem is actually not a government issue. The Speaker, until the enactment of the Representation of the People Parliamentary Constituencies Instrument 2020, CI 128, for electoral purposes, the traditional areas of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi, described as SAR for short, were part of the Hohoe constituency and also part of the Hohoe district. Administratively, these areas were in the Volta region. On 15 February 2019, by a constitutional instrument CI 112, the boundaries of the Volta region were altered after due recourse and mandatory processes stipulated in Article 5 of the Constitution, resulting in the creation of the Oti region. The traditional areas of the SAR ceased to be part of the Volta region as they were included in the territories considered by law into the Oti region. The formation of the new Oti region had the further consequence that even though administratively Hohoe district remained in the Volta region, part of the Hohoe constituency, specifically the SAR areas, had become a part of the Oti region by dint of CI 112. In point of fact, the SAR areas were under the Jasikan district in the Oti region. A clear constitutional violation was imminent. And the Speaker referred to Article 47, Clause 2 of the Constitution, which stipulates that no constituency shall fall within more than one region. The Speaker, this situation necessitated the enactment of a new constitutional instrument to alter the boundaries of the Hohoe constituency, as the continued placement of SAR within the Hohoe constituency, as indicated above, was going to be a flagrant violation of Article 47, Clause 2. The Supreme Court had actually, on 24 June 2020, in a suit entitled Valentine Jache against Harry Amatefe, the chairman of Hohoe Constituency NDC, the secretary of Hohoe Constituency NDC, Professor Margaret Kweku, the regional officer of the Electoral Commission, and the municipal electoral officer who indeed underscored the necessity for the SAR areas to cease to be part of the Hohoe constituency in the Volta region, and for a new constituency to be created for them. The court stated, and I quote, "For the reasons explained above, we hold that as things stand now, CI 95, which was the old CI which placed the SAR areas within Hohoe constituency, is inconsistent with Article 47, Clause 2 of the Constitution, to the extent that the traditional areas of Santo Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe, and Lolobi, which fall within the Oti region, are stated to be part of the Hohoe constituency, which is in the Volta region, and to the extent of that inconsistency is unconstitutional." End of quote. In accordance with this clear decision of the Supreme Court, the Electoral Commission set out to align the boundaries of the Hohoe constituency and to place the SAR areas within the constituency in the Oti region. A new constituency instrument, CI 128, was enacted, and this CI placed the SAR areas within the Buem constituency, with its headquarters being Jasikan in the Oti region. Indeed, this situation, in my view, should not have created any problem at all, and should have ensured a due exercise by the people of SAR of their right to participate in the parliamentary election in the Buem constituency in the December 2020 elections. The Speaker, the problem of the SAR people began in November 2020, when Parliament allowed LI 2416 for the creation of a Buem district, which had been laid before Parliament on Tuesday, 6 October 2020, to come into effect. On Monday, 9 November 2020, less than a month before the December 2020 elections, LI 2416 came into force after having satisfied the constitutional prerequisite of Article 11(7) of the Constitution. It is pertinent to note that the areas carved into the Guan district by LI 2416 were hitherto part of the Jasikan district. Consequent to the enactment of LI 2416, the 4 traditional areas of SAR were placed under the new Guan district and ceased to be part of the Jasikan district. This development necessarily required the Electoral Commission to create a new constituency for the SAR areas called the Guan constituency, as the Commission took the view that to allow them to remain within the Guan constituency would unleash another constitutional anomaly of having the Member of Parliament for Guam also being a member of the Guan district, in addition to being a member of the Jasikan District Assembly at the same time. Indeed, for the record, I'll quote Article 242, paragraph B of the Constitution, which states that a District Assembly shall consist of the Member of Parliament or a member or members of Parliament for the constituencies that fall within the area of authority of the district as members without the right to vote. A constituency, in the view of the Electoral Commission, should therefore fall within the area of authority of a district assembly. The Electoral Commission interpreted this to mean that a member of Parliament is required to be a member of one district assembly and no more. The Speaker, indeed, there have been efforts to address the SAL anomaly. The Electoral Commission, in its quest to ensure a due exercise of the franchise by the people of SAL, proceeded to take steps to create a constituency for the areas forming part of the newly created Guan district by amending CI 128, as well as the district electoral areas and legislation of units regulations 2019 CI 119. Subsequently, the Attorney General Minister of Justice, by a letter dated 18th November 2020, forwarded the draft representation of the People Parliamentary Constituencies Amendment Instrument 2020 and comments thereon to the Electoral Commission for their consideration. The then Attorney General particularly drew the attention of the Electoral Commission to the limited time available for the dissolution of the 7th Parliament, having regard to Article 11(7) of the Constitution, which requires 21 sitting days of Parliament for a draft instrument to come into force. On 26 November 2020, the Electoral Commission requested the Attorney General to finalize the draft constitutional instrument. And indeed, as the Office of the Attorney General had earlier on cautioned in its letter of 18 November 2020, processes leading to the creation of the Guan district, or the Guan constituency, could not materialize since Parliament went on recess for the December 2020 elections on 9th November 2020, the same day that the LI creating the Guan district, LI 2416, came into effect, implying that the constitutional instrument for the creation of a Guan constituency could not be laid before Parliament. The record shows that Parliament resumed only on Monday, 14 December 2020, a week after the election. In order to prevent what is considered the occurrence of a constitutional crisis, the residents of the Guan district, i.e. the SAL areas, voted for a member of Parliament in the Guan constituency, which is part of the Jasikan district. On the eve of the 7 December elections, the Electoral Commission directed the residents of the Guan district to only vote in the presidential and not the parliamentary election. In my view, the decision of the Electoral Commission to prevent the SAR people from voting in the Guam constituency for a member of Parliament was not constitutionally sound, and with the greatest respect, raised genuine questions about the legitimacy of the Guam parliamentary contest. The SAR people should have voted as part of the Guam constituency for a member of Parliament. When Parliament resumed sitting on 14 December 2020, the Electoral Commission could not lay the amendment to CI 128 for want of the mandatory 21 sitting days for same to come into force before the dissolution of the 7th Parliament on the midnight of Wednesday, 6 January 2021. The Commission therefore was compelled to wait for the 8th Parliament to be sworn in on 7 January 2021 before the constitutional instrument to amend CI 128 be laid before Parliament. The Speaker, I'll quickly highlight some measures that have been taken to solve the SAR problem since 2021. In 2021, the Electoral Commission, with the guidance of the Attorney General, started the process for the creation of a new constituency for the Guan district. The Commission held a City meeting with stakeholders in New Guan District for proposed name. The stakeholders unanimously agreed on the constituency name, Guan constituency, with the headquarters being Likpe Mate. I'm happy to inform the House that with my active support, the Electoral Commission has taken fruitful steps to ensure representation for the Sa people in Parliament. Further to a pre-laying meeting held on 7 June 2023 to consider the representation of the people parliamentary constituency instrument 2023 and the district electoral areas designation of units amendment instrument 2023. Signed and dated copies of the instruments were submitted by the Attorney General to the Clerk of Parliament for laying. By correspondence dated 2nd November 2023, Parliament has indicated that the instruments have been laid in Parliament since 31st October 2023. The district electoral areas designation of units amendment instrument 2023 seeks to realign the Jasikan and Guan districts, placing the electoral areas in the South traditional areas within the Guan district. The Speaker, the way forward. Presently, with the representation of the People's Parliamentary Constituencies Amendment Instrument 2023 and the district electoral areas designation of units amendment instrument 2023 come into force, the creation of a new Guan constituency consisting of the South areas shall only come into effect upon the next resolution of Parliament on 6 January 2025. This is the effect of Article 47, Clause 6 of the Constitution. Alternatively, the representation of the people of South in Parliament, in this term of Parliament, is desired. The way to go is to do the two things which are prescribed to the Honourable Member. The Speaker, respectfully, there must be a revocation of LI 2416 establishing the Guan district, which would imply that the residents of South will remain under the Jasikan district. And two, there must be an annulment of the 2020 parliamentary election organized for the Guam constituency to allow residents of the 4 South communities qualified to vote to exercise their right to elect a member of parliament to represent them. Since CI 128, used for the conduct of the 2020 parliamentary elections, had indeed already placed the South areas within the Guam constituency. A recognition of the current status of the South areas as part of the Guam constituency within the Jasikan district and an annulment of the Guam parliamentary election in order to allow the residents of South to vote for a member of parliament will cure the mischief for lack of representation of the South people in parliament in this term of parliament until the new CI seeking to create a new Guam constituency comes into force. The Speaker, in respect of what I prescribed, it is important to know that there is currently pending in court, the High Court, Hohoi, a suit challenging the validity of the election of Mr. Kofi Adams as Member of Parliament for the Guam constituency on account of a denial of the right of the people of South to vote in the election which elected Mr. Kofi Adams as the MP for Guam. This suit number is suit number CRP/E/1/2021 and is entitled "In the matter of parliamentary election for the Guam constituency in the matter of a petition by Stephen Brempong and 12 others against Mr. Kofi Adams and the Electoral Commission." The Speaker, the reliefs being sought in the action include an order of the court cancelling the parliamentary election in the Guam constituency and further orders directed at the Electoral Commission to organize fresh elections in the Guam constituency, inclusive of the 30 electoral areas in the traditional areas described as South. The Speaker, this is the answer.
Speaker, I have a few follow-up questions. The first one, Mr. Speaker, and let me thank the Honorable Attorney General for his response. In the Honorable Attorney General's response, he appears to absolve government that this is not the SAR question, it's not a creation of government, but then proceeds to say that we cannot discount the role that the creation of the new OT region plays in this whole matter. Because you can't have a district that straddles two regions constitutionally. So, will the Attorney General concede that the creation of the OT region by government played a role, and that the posture to abdicate is not one that should be encouraged? We need to boldly accept our roles and responsibilities in this matter so we can really deal with it and learn lessons moving forward.
That's the North Town Member of Parliament, Samuel Kujetu Ablakwa, contributing there on the floor of Parliament following a submission made by the Attorney General Minister of Justice, Godfred Adame, on the SAL issue. He also answered questions on NAM1. Well, that would be it for Eyewitness News tonight. My name is Umaru Sanda Amado. Production by Kobna Wilson. Technical support from Daniels Desmond Nyaku. New media support from Emmanuel Ose and Edwin Kwakofi. Up next, we have pitchside soccer from the City Sports team. Stay tuned in. Good night.
City